Hi, my name is Megan Bernard, and I chose the Banff National Park for my management plan assignment. So just a little overview of what we're going to talk about. We'll start with the history of Banff National Park. We'll go for a couple outdoor recreation opportunities. Then we will look at their management objectives, the carrying capacity of the park, the LAC management procedures, the management monitoring, and then a summary. So to start, we can look at the history of Banff National Park. It all began with the making of the railroad, joining BC with the rest of Canada. In 1883, three workers discovered the hot springs, cave and basin, and this brought attention to the area to raise money for the railroads. With everyone coming in, it brought pop-up commercial stores, and it became a really hotspot tourist spot. It was called Rocky Mountain Park in 1885, and it was Canada's first ever national park. It then expanded to over 6,000 kilometers and was named Banff National Park in 1964. It is what we now know today. There are so many outdoor recreation opportunities. In the slide, I decided to even throw in some pictures of myself snowshoeing as well as skiing in the mountains. So those are some of the activities. There's also wildlife viewing, tours that you can do, lots of exercise activities such as golf, ice climbing, mountain biking. They have the museum. You can take photos. You can go camping, which a lot of people choose to do, lots of hiking spots. It is known as a very tourist attraction spot where any activity you want to do, you're likely to be able to do there. So the management objective of Banff National Park is a conservation area that is ensuring the beautiful place remains intact for future generations. So they have five main objectives. The first one is to support Canada's reputation for environmental leadership by sharing the results of science and engaging others in science and stewardship-related activities. The next one is to strengthen the relationship with Indigenous people. The third one is fostering exceptional visitor experience and opportunities. And there is also ensuring the connection to Canadians and their natural and cultural heritage. So the carrying capacity of Banff National Park is a little to determine the carrying capacity. We looked at statistics in 2017 and 2018, and there were 4.18 million visitors in Banff National Park. Now, this is 75% more than Jasper, which is Canada's second largest national park in Canada. So we can see how many people and tourists come to visit the park. Because of this, there's been many impacts on the land, lots of vegetation issues, and in specific areas such as Lake Louise, Moraine Lake, Johnston Canyon, and as well as other areas in the park. A few of the animals that the carrying capacity has been affected by because we've gone over are the bison, which are now just being introduced back into the park. Grizzly bears have been in danger, elks, and same as the native fish got overtaken by other fish, and now a reintroduction is trying to be of them. So the LAC management procedures, which stands for Limits of Acceptable Change, is the management procedure that Banff National Park is going to follow. It is a reformation of the recreation carrying capacity consent with lots of emphasis now on conditions desired in the area rather than how much use the area can tolerate. So what is good about this approach is it prompts managers to focus on desired conditions, includes elements of the natural environment, and it embraces changes as normal fact. So it is a 9-step process for wilderness areas to determine the issues of the park and undergo the management properly. The example that I used for how Banff National Park is going to use the LAC approach is going to be in the monitoring of the grizzly bears. So step 1 of the LAC is to identify concerns and issues. In this case, the issue is that grizzly bears' natural habitat is being taken over by humans. Step 2 is, in this issue, allows us to determine the kinds of resources and social conditions acceptable for that class and type of management activity considered appropriate. Grizzly bears need an environment away from humans where the zones can meet their needs, such as an open forest and lots of vegetation. Step 4, the vegetation has been damaged to human interaction, and this is necessary for the bear's habitat. Step 5, taking inventory of the resources that are already existing. In this case, Banff National Park is a very large area where there are many spots, such as along the mountain ridges, over mountain passes, through river valley bottoms, that bears can explore to. Step 6 is implies to develop standards for each opportunity class. Grizzly bears need to move far away and wide to find adequate food, shelter, and mates. Restoration of Sulphur, Norquay Cascade, and Middle Springs wildlife corridors, where bears and other wildlife can navigate around, is an alternative opportunity for the bears. Then comes step 7, is to identify management actions for each alternative. So in this case, one management action would be blocking off the areas into zones. One zone being humans only and the other zone being bears only, so that the natural environment can grow as they need to. The other option is removing certain shortcuts that the wildlife may find in order to travel and appear in unwanted areas. Adding a GPS on the bear to ensure management knows where they end up is also an option that can be taken to fix the problem. Then we come to step 8, which is choosing one of these options to go through with. In this case, Banff National Park is going to be blocked into sections so that the bears and humans do not interact in the natural habitat of the bears. This includes limiting the number of people while traveling in bear territory to a limit of 4, so that there is no harm in the environment and humans do not overgo the carrying capacity that the bear's environment can hold. Step 9, the final step, is to implement the actions that have been chosen to monitor the conditions. For this issue, the bear's environment needs to ensure that the vegetation is growing again. The bears have proper food, shelter, and mates that they need in order to survive. Now we look at the management monitoring. So as we talked about, we want to separate it into zones, and these bears can be either GPS or tagged. How we are going to monitor it is by putting surveys at the end of trails. So when visitors go to use these trails, they can write on the surveys whether they had an interaction with a bear or not. This will ensure and determine whether the bears are staying in their zones as well as humans, or if the bears are traveling outside the zones, then we can look to renegotiate the zones. If we can determine if they are going outside the zones or staying in the zones, we will be able to see if the land is improving and the vegetation is starting to grow again, or if not, then we need to adjust the management plan as needed. So to summarize it all, Banff National Park is a home to thousands of different species, all of which need to be protected and looked after. It is a conservation area that has provided resources for both present and future generations. Humans have created many negative impacts, and that is why, with the management plan, is here to help improve some of these damages. Bringing awareness and consideration for the issues that are occurring in the park is how the environment is going to be more sustainable for those who want to continue outdoor recreational activities or to learn and visit the area. I only gave one example of the bears and how the LAC approach can help them, But there are many other issues that are evolving within the park, so using the LAC approach can help other issues as well. Thank you.